Good evening. Coming to you from the great Midwest on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network.com. You're listening to Chappy. This is Chaps Fantasy Chat. I am super excited to be with you guys tonight. Happy 4th of July week. I am very blessed to have worked my last day for the next week today. And, I get to cap it all off by talking to you guys about fantasy baseball for the next hour. I don't know how you could get better, right? So, what's going on? What are we going to talk about tonight, right? Of course, tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to kind of go through our midseason overview. We're going to continue to drill down on this week. We're going to do the NL East. But we're also going to talk about, some midseason awards. We're going to talk about some waivers. And we're going to talk about, start to give you an overview of what to expect coming down the stretch, because these teams are really, some of them are starting to separate themselves. So, this is really a halfway point. You got your All-Star game coming up. In my leagues, we like to have a minor league draft at the All-Star break. I think it kind of breaks up the monotony. So it gives the guys a few extra players to kind of build into their dynasty team. So it's always a fun time. We like to celebrate and do this. Look at this a little bit differently. So again, I just want to take a second. First off, I want to take a second and give my buddy Arnie best birthday wishes. I don't know if he's coming back on with me again at 9, but normally we do a Tuesday night show after our show at 9 o'clock, and really enjoy talking with my buddy Arnie. Lenny and Andrea, all of my colleagues that work with me on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network.com. I'd like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. So let's jump right in and let's start talking about where we are with these races, okay? So again, I'm going to do the NL East a little bit deeper this week. So I'll start in the American League, and we'll talk through some things from division to division, conference to conference, if you will, and see what's going on. Let's break it down in each individual conference or division. So we'll start in the East. The Yankees continue to separate themselves. I know that this was Tampa Bay's division not that long ago, but it's seeming now like a long time ago, because the Yankees have opened up a 7-game lead on the Rays. And you know what? They've got an 11-game lead on the Red Sox. So really, going into the All-Star break, this is the New York Yankees division, okay? So just keep in mind that as these Yankees continue to get better, because they are getting better. Aaron Judge is getting healthy. Didi Gregorius is getting healthy. They're only going to improve. So even if the Yankees don't make a move, and we all know they're going to make a move, this team will continue to get better. So really, Boston and Tampa Bay needs to hustle if they want to keep up with the power in that conference or in that division. So a couple notes from that division. Brandon McKay looks like he's going to pitch again on Friday. He is the rookie phenom. Both Arnie and I were talking about over the last month. He finally got his call up through 6 innings of no-hit ball in his debut. As I said, the Rays lived up to their end of the bargain, and they let him DH last night. Didn't go well, but 0 for 4. But you know what? I mean, that's not what this is about. This is. Everybody in this organization knows that McKay's arm is ahead of his bat, but they want this kid to develop as a bat because they see him as a talent there, and they're living up to that. They'll be willing to eat some offers, if you will, for the development of this young player and the major league arm ready that he is. So it's good to see that. Aside from Brandon McKay, this is talking to how these teams are going to keep up, right? Aside from Brandon McKay, Tampa Bay had 2 players named to the Futures game, and one of them being the number 1 overall prospect, and Wander Franco, and the other being a catcher, Ronaldo Hernandez. It's an honor to get named to that game, but it's when you're 18 years old, as Wander Franco is, it'll be interesting to see how that talent level plays in terms of being a couple years younger than the rest of those guys, a lot of those guys in that game, right? So just pretty interesting. Another note for the Red Sox, it was announced that Nate Eovaldi is going to be the closer. Much needed shot in the arm for the Red Sox to have a closer. They have struggled with that. There has been some serious struggles. As a matter of fact, the Red Sox bullpen is a 4.37 ERA on the year, which is middle of the pack. But over the past 2 weeks, it was 6.18, which is the second worst in the AL, and it's blown 8 saves. So in June, that's the most of any AL team. So really struggling. That'll be a shot in the arm to get an established player. He did well last year down the stretch for the Red Sox. Played a big part in that bullpen in their World Series run. Hopefully he can help return them. So, there you have it, the East. Let's move on to the West, or the Central, rather. The Central, again, is Minnesota's. They're at 53-30. The thing that sticks out to me in terms of the AL Central is, Minnesota is really good away from home. They are 27-16 away from home, but they're good. 26-14 at home. So that just goes to show you this is a well-rounded team, and they have a stranglehold with an 8-game lead right now on Cleveland. Cleveland is surging, but it's going to be really hard for them to overcome that because quite frankly, they're not as good of a team, right? But they can make some waves in the wild card. So keep an eye on what Cleveland does, and whether or not they're buyers or sellers at the break. A guy like Trevor Bauer can be a big boost one way or another, whether they lose him or gain him. Whether if he stays in Cleveland versus he goes to Atlanta or one of these other teams, it makes a big difference, right? So I personally don't see Cleveland making that drastic of a move, but I do see them maybe moving off a piece or two, a Carlos Santana, maybe another player that's not quite as valuable to the team's future, right? So again, you got Minnesota, you got Cleveland, you got Chicago. Chicago's interesting because of course, you have the debut of the heralded Dylan Cease coming up. This is a kid who had a bloated ERA in the minors, but his stuff plays, is everything I've heard. You have to take a chance on Dylan Cease. If he is out there on your waiver wire, you need to go pick him up. He is a part of the good young future in Chicago on the south side. So that's where we are in the Central. In the West, it is still Houston's division, but they have stumbled as of late, and now they still hold a 6.5 game lead, but they have Texas and Oakland to contend with. Just want to take a moment to just pay tribute to Tyler Skaggs. It's weird. Everybody's, and I'm not going to get all reflective and all that stuff, but I was listening to in the car last night, and I've been kind of going back. I need pitching in one of my leagues, and I'm going back and forth on whether I want to pick up Tyler Skaggs. And I have the car on, but the sound is low, and it has a picture there, or it says on his name. It says his name up on the ticker there on the car radio manifold. And I'm like, oh, let's see. I want to hear what happens near. I heard he passed away. So it's really interesting. How sudden things are. And again, I don't want to, it's been done ad nauseum, and I don't want, not in a disrespectful way. It's just not my motive. It really is, it's sad to see a kid like that just start to come into his own and not, have it cut short. So, it'll be interesting to see how the Angels rebound. They've certainly got, their work cut out for them. I like to see them get some pitching help. But we'll see. So anyway, let's look at the wild card, right? Halfway point, let's look at the wild card. So as I said, at the moment, as of today, the Yankees, the Twins, and the Astros have sole possession of their divisions. But right now, the wild card leaders, as it stands today, are Tampa Bay and Texas. Tampa's at 49-36, and Texas is at 46-38. The interesting part is if you start to look at this, there's 3 teams within 2 games and 5 teams within 5.5 games of that wild card spot. So just pretty interesting to see. Again, I'm interested to see what Oakland does. I'm interested to see what Cleveland and Boston do. That wild card is going to be interesting. I think for the most part, we know who our division winners are going to be in the American League. But those 2 wild card spots is going to be a battle all year long, so it'll keep us watching, right? Again, can anybody hear me? I guess that's the most important thing. Let's see who we got live in chat here. Anyone? Bueller? Guys, if you're out there and can hear me, let me know, okay? I appreciate it. So anyway, we'll move on. Let's go to the National League. In the National League, again, we'll start in the West. We start in the West because I'm basically going to talk about the East for about a half hour. And when I say the East, I mean Atlanta. So, this is your Braves edition, ladies and gentlemen, of Chaps Fantasy Chat. So out West, again, this is the Dodgers division. I'm going to start calling this the NL Dodgers instead of the NL West. They're 57-29. They are really good guys. I say this every week. They're good. 34-9 at Chavez Ravine, darn near unbeatable. Away though, they're 23-20. So they've got a 12-game lead already on Colorado, and Colorado's a decent team. Now they're not playing. They're only 4 games above 500. I think they will close that 12-game lead, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as the Dodgers are. Right? I think we can all agree to that. The interesting thing. Here's an interesting number. So the Diamondbacks, they're sitting at 500, 43-43. Their numbers are flipped though at home and away. They're at 7. They sit at 17-22 in Arizona, and they're 26-21 away from there. So they're actually, this is one of those cases where they do actually better away from home than they do at home, right? So one more note about the West. Just speaking back to the 3 walk-offs from last week. I know it's a little bit dated, but I saw this, and you guys know I have to kind of share with you when I get these really interesting tidbits. So according to Baseball Reference, there have been 218,337 Major League games played all time. So of those 218,000 games, only 6 times has a team won 3 consecutive games in walk-off fashion. Only 6 times. All of those times have come since 1998. None of those times has that been all rookies, though, until last week when it happened. So just, trying to quantify and put a little bit of perspective on just how big of a accomplishment that was by the Mets rookies. Really impressive, right? So, again, the wild card. Excuse me. The Central. I skipped the Central because, honestly, anyone that knows me knows I'm a Central guy. I say it every week. I know. I apologize for repeating myself. But not next week, because when I talk about the Central the week after, it's really going to be the whole show, because I could go on about the Central for forever, right? So, takeaways in the Central. Run differential. Only 2 teams have positive run differential in the NL Central. The Chicago Cubs are plus 64. Excuse me. Plus 51. That's a little dated. I apologize. And the Cincinnati Reds are the other team with positive run differential at plus 37. Everyone else in the division is at negative.